Hey everybody, Andy Moore here with Let's Fix This. I happened to be at the Capitol this morning for a tour of the restoration project, which is really informative. We'll have a blog post in a couple of days about that. But the big news today is that the state Supreme Court surprisingly ruled in less than 48 hours after the hearing on Tuesday about one of the three pieces one of the three cases that they heard on Tuesday. They ruled about the cigarette tax. You've probably heard this by now, and they said that it was unconstitutional. Now, if you've been following us or listened to my video on Tuesday, it was not entirely surprised. In fact, I haven't seen anyone's statement so far saying they were surprised, which maybe is a little disappointing. That you kind of hope someone out there, maybe someone who voted for it, like actually thought that maybe this was going to be upheld, but so far no one I've seen from either party has been like, oh, we're shocked. So what we do know is that next steps are the state has 1 week to request a second hearing. However, this was a unanimous decision. There was not any evidence of any dissent among any of the 9 Supreme Court justices, and so we kind of expect that they're not going to challenge that. I mean, if all 9 said we think this is unconstitutional, there's a good chance that they're not going to reconsider their opinion. So that pushes us to what is likely going to be a special session. The governor issued a statement already today that kind of said, she hinted that the state needs to have a special session. She's the one to call the special session, so 1 + 1 is 2. I think that she'll be calling for that soon. Then we've heard from a myriad of the candidates for governor. Scott Inman, Mick Cornett, who else? I don't know if Richardson chimed in. 3 or 4 of the candidates. There's so many that it's hard to keep track so far, but they have all kind of said the same thing. We're not shocked. Here we are. We told you this was going to happen. This is a terrible idea, and now the state needs to get up here, have a special session, and get some revenue for our state passed in a responsible, preferably constitutional way. So the big thing about this is that now that this has been ruled as unconstitutional, it says a couple of things. It says that the state Supreme Court viewed this bill as distinctly a revenue measure, not as something else. So there's kind of 2 kinds of bills that they pass. One are bills that their purpose is to raise revenue. We call those tax increases or revenue bills. The other is bills that do something else, and maybe they happen to raise a little bit of revenue along the way. So there's some fees and things that are designed for licensure and that kind of stuff that they do that, and really they raise revenue or they incur income, but really it's just designed to offset the cost of the law itself. This bill, the legislature, those that passed it, said this is a bill to reduce smoking rates, and it happens to also generate money. The Supreme Court said, no, we know this is just a thinly veiled attempt to raise money. We see through your veil, we call your bluff. This is a revenue bill. It did not have the 75% majority that it needs under the law, and thus unconstitutional. So here we are, trying to find out exactly how we're going to come up with the other 214, 215, maybe $250 million that we now need for healthcare. The way that breaks down is about $70 million for Medicaid for Sooner Care or the Health Care Authority, about $75 million, I think, for the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, who is already super low funded, one of the lowest funded in the country, and then another $70 million plus for the Department of Human Services, which has also already been cut a bajillion times. This is literally hurting the Oklahomans that hurt the most. People that have mental health and substance abuse issues, children in foster care. We've got children with disabilities that are on a waiting list. Sometimes people have been on waiting lists for years. Erin Taylor, if you know her son has been on a waiting list for, 8 or 10 years, I think, for services. This is not people that can absorb the cut. Lieutenant Governor Todd Lamb, who is also a candidate for governor, did have a statement that said we should get after finding inefficiencies in government and reduce those and basically spread the cuts around to a bunch of agencies. And that he's the only one that didn't just totally lambaste the legislature for passing this. Maybe it's because he's president of the Senate. I don't know. Sure, I'll let you make that decision. But I'm willing to bet that we are already cut to the bone. We barely got enough revenue in the first place. This was the biggest chunk of change that the legislature came up with, and it was unconstitutional. And so now they've got the opportunity to fix this. You know, we're big fans of that. Now, what's going to happen next is the governor's going to call a special session, set a date. That means everyone's got to come down here. If they don't come, she can send the state troopers out to go pick them up, I think. I heard. That would be awesome. Hopefully everyone will show up to work. We don't have to have a have a big gang go get them. But people will show up, and they can, again, start debating how to fix this, what they're going to do about it. Now, I'll be honest, I've heard some rumors that some membership of the House, maybe some leadership, maybe the Senate as well, but they have no interest in actually fixing this hole. There's some talk that they want to come in, maybe bat around a few ideas, and then just say, we're just going to move stuff around and get across the board cuts to all state agencies instead. And so agencies that got money will lose it and will give it to those so they don't have such a huge cut. Overall, everyone might get cut. Maybe they'll keep it in just a few agencies. Those that really need it will get cut really huge. So that's a big deal. Or what they could do, and what I'm asking you to do, is to help call your legislators and encourage them, implore them, they need to come up here and pass some revenue measures, some real revenue measures, some that are constitutional, some that will generate the kind of revenue that our state needs. Now, maybe if that's not you, if you are someone who doesn't think we need to do that, if you believe that there are still huge inefficiencies in government that could be cut, because I'll be honest, there's certainly always inefficiencies in government, but they can't all be cut. Some of those inefficiencies are there to protect taxpayer dollars, as counterintuitive as that sounds. That's someone who's worked in government for most of my career. Stuff drives me nuts all the time, but it makes sense. Also, as a taxpayer, I appreciate some of that. That's neither here nor there. But if you have whatever your opinion is, call your legislators and tell them, hey man, like, you gotta show up. I may need to get I've still got my life vest at home. I can put it back in the car and wear it for these videos if that'll help. So a couple of questions. Ginger said Leslie Osborne, who was the chair of the Appropriations and Budget Committee for the House. She's running for state labor commissioner. She sponsored the bills. Yes, Ginger, that is correct. I can't see the rest of your comment. I apologize. The lawsuit does cite her as the chair of the Appropriations and Budget Committee. Whoever that person is has to be the one to run those bills. That's part of the duty of that position, even if you disagree with them. From my conversations with Representative Osborne, I know that she was not entirely on board with some of these. She ran them anyway because that was her job. You may have noticed that she disagrees with Speaker McCall on a number of issues, and in fact, he has since removed her from that position. I don't know that it's directly related to this disagreement or others, but I expect we might see her taking a different approach with special session than she had during the general session, because she's not in that position anymore. That's my 2 cents. We will let her speak for herself. So, what I need you to do today, go to oklegislature.gov. The bottom right-hand corner, you can enter your address, put it in there and search, and find who your state house rep and your state senator are. The way the website works, you put your address in, and it goes to a new page. You may have to enter it again, I'm not always sure, but then scroll down. It'll list your statewide elected officials. It'll list your U.S. congressmen and your U.S. senators. They have nothing to do with the state budget. They are in Washington, and you can write them and email them about lots of stuff. There's certainly plenty of national level stuff going on this week involving nuclear weapons and whatnot. So write them if you want to. What we're talking about right here is stuff here at the state level, and find your state house rep and your state senator, send them an email, find their phone number, give them a call, and let them know. Say, listen, man, like, you almost never get a second chance to fix stuff, and here you have one sitting in your lap. You've got a second chance. I know the governor hasn't called for a special session yet, but it's just a matter of time. They're all ready for it. They're preparing. They're talking about it. Give them a call. I also really encourage you to reach out to Speaker McCall and let him know how you feel. Maybe he's not your rep. He's not from your district unless you live in Atoka. That doesn't mean you can't give him a call and say, like, I am a constituent of this state. You're the leader of the House. Here's what we need. So I believe all the revenue measures still have to start in the House. Same rules as during general session. So let's put pressure there first. Go ahead and call your senator, though. They know each other. They can talk. They can start working things out. But this getting us to where we need to be, it's been however many months now, right? 4 months since we were in general session. We still have not heard any kind of vision or hope for the future, any kind of plan for how to fix this from state leadership. Now's the time. The chips are down. You got nothing to lose. The last thing you passed was unconstitutional. Let's go back to the drawing board and get this done. I need you to make the phone calls to make this happen. Send emails. Call your friends and neighbors. Encourage them to do the same thing. If you're not sure how to write your message, you can go to our website, letsfixthisok.org. Go up to the top in the menu. There's a resources tab. And on that tab, there's a letter called A Letter to My Legislator. And it really walks you through kind of the 3 steps for how to craft your message so you know what to say when you call them or when you write them. Tell them your name, where you live, what you're passionate about, what you want them to do about it, and give them that call to action on there. Tell them why it's important. It's really just as simple as that. What you want, why you want it, and what you want them to do about it. Just those 3 things. We need you. You've got to call. You may have seen our post earlier this week that voter turnout continues to be really low. That means your voice counts more, right? In your House district, there's roughly 38,000 people. Maybe a third of them show up to vote. Maybe less than that. That means your voice has got to count for your neighbors. It's got to count for your friends and relatives that live there with you. Make your voice count. Use it. Call, send emails. Show up to the Capitol. Once we find out some dates about special session, I will do my best to organize a Capitol Day up here and try to get people up here. You're welcome to come on your own. You can come right now. It's open all the time. Make an appointment with your legislator. Come try to meet with them. Meet them at home. Go to Panera. Go to Starbucks. Have barbecue. Whatever you want to do. But put some heat on them, because otherwise we're just going to have to deal with this, and no one wants to deal with continued budget cuts. Hey, thanks so much for your time. Kayla, sorry you just joined, but you can watch it as soon as it saves to Facebook. Check out our events tab, wherever it is on this page. Go to our events. We've got a couple of things coming up. August 23rd, Oklahoma County Sheriff debate at the Tower Theater here on 23rd, just down the street from the state capitol. It's at 6 p.m. It's on a Wednesday. I'd love for you to be there if you live in Oklahoma County. Really important. It's a big county. That's a lot of you. Secondly, so far we're going to schedule a few kind of meetups and training events around the state, certainly around the Oklahoma City Metro, because that's where I live and it's more convenient, honestly. But we're going to Enid first. The first one we've got scheduled is September 23rd. That's a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock in the morning in Enid. If you'd like to come, we're going to talk about how you do these things, how you meet your legislators, how you talk to them, how you tell your story, what it means. We'll talk about what kinds of communication is most effective. We'll help you craft your message and try to give you some insight into how things work up here. We'll do kind of that next level education about the Oklahoma government, how a bill becomes the law, because it's not as simple as the Schoolhouse Rock led us to believe. So, thanks a lot. Have a great Thursday and a great weekend.